there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dovston, and it is wonderful that you are here with me for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 11th of November 2024. Last week, we had the energy of Hexagram 59 dispersing, the warm wind blowing against and across that which is stuck, which is locked and frozen up in the ice, melting and dissolving and working through obstacles, breaking up what is locked and fixed and rigid, and releasing us from some energy that has really had us trapped. We were also encouraged through that changing line to understand where groups, thought processes, people around us were a part of our life because they were a ritual, as opposed to releasing that and making space for the new. And we were asked to take ourselves up to the hilltop shrine and have a perspective, have an inner perspective of the superior person, of looking at the situation from a much higher point of view, and not thinking that it is our escape or our way to hide, but that it's an important strategic part of the process. And we had, Hexagram 6, conflict, all right, understanding that sometimes when worlds collide, when there's conflicting views, our task is to avoid escalating the conflict. Our task with this hexagram last week was to find ways of mediating our way through. And I spoke about that idea of the Venn diagram with the two circles overlapping and that little negotiating space in between where there's commonality, of always coming back to that. Okay. I hope the conflicts that you might have come across in the week were small ones and that the mediation options were simple. And of course, if the conflict was internal conflict, well, maybe that's a little more difficult to deal with, but certainly working through finding the happiest solution forward without escalating and letting go, letting that warm wind dispel and release and unfreeze and release those relationships, groups and thought patterns that are no longer part of our lives. Do you feel freer this week? Did you feel that through the energy of 59, almost an energy of things unraveling, okay, things that were tied up, starting to unravel? Just be okay with the fact that while that unraveling is happening, it can feel a bit uncomfortable, okay, because you're not quite sure how things are going to unravel, how are things going to coalesce after the unraveling and the thawing has taken place. What does this landscape look like? And just be at peace that sometimes it feels like that. And we just have to be present in that energy and accept that sometimes moving from a stuck position, which is uncomfortable, to a better place has us in between bit where we feel really uncertain. So if you felt like that this past week, Hexagram 59 was washing away and unlocking things that were stuck. Please do share comments if you had any experiences of these hexagrams come up. I had an experience of working in meditation, in my daily meditation, and I kept on feeling like I was just climbing steps up to this temple. Like I wasn't getting anywhere. I was just climbing steps, and every time I worked with this, I had the same experience of just climbing steps up to the temple. And it took me a few days to cotton on to the fact that I was actually tuning into this changing line of ascending to the temple. So it's really interesting. We all experience the hexagrams in different ways. Perhaps you dream about them or experience them in your meditation, as I sometimes do. It is a wonderful process of how they follow us around, how this energy follows us around. Okay, let's get into this week. What is the particular flow of change we are working with? And what might be the focus point? Where is the light shining? Okay, remember with the hexagrams, it's not necessarily that event happens in that week that is related to the hexagram, but that what we're focusing on, what pops up for us to look at, that's already in play, is this particular aspect. Okay, so we started the week. Our main flow of change that we are working with this week is hexagram 44 coming to meet, also known as liaisons. Okay, right, so we look at the structure. A whole lot of male lines. Right at the bottom, what's entering the situation is a little female line. Now, there are two different ways, similar but different enough that it warrants an explanation. Two different ways of looking at this hexagram. We have the Kasha view, all right, of the hexagram, which is a slightly more positive framing and we have the Richard Wilhelm camp, right, which has a more negative framing on this hexagram. I'm going to give you both, because who knows what you encounter this week in working with this hexagram. And it's one of the hexagrams, one of the very few where there's quite a difference, okay, between the different schools of thought. Right. Richard Wilhelm, classical view, all right. Whole lot of positive energy, all right, and we have this little bit of negative darkness coming in the bottom. So it refers to the arrival of negativity, what's new, what's coming in the bottom, the arrival of negativity into a positive, energetic, full yang position, okay. And it asks us to understand that negativity sneaks in the back door and grows and grows and grows until such time as there's nothing you can do about it, and it destroys everything. Okay. I've seen this in groups where one person is in a bad space and brings negativity into the group, and over prolonged periods of time, more and more and more of the group become more negative. It kind of becomes a whole thing. And then before you know it, pow, the whole group is turned. Okay. And there's nothing you can do about it. Right. So I've experienced that. We can also think of this idea, and I've shared this before, of the difference between a little cute baby pig and a wild hog. Okay. So someone gives you a little cute babe, okay, pink, soft, so cute, okay, and we keep him. And babe eats a lot and grows and grows and grows and grows and becomes this wild, huge hog, okay. And so can actually just destroy our house because the running around and the tusks and the absolute wildness, okay. But it starts as a little cute pig, okay. So what we are doing is we are looking for where we have negativity coming into our lives, into our situation, where there's a particular home, personal, work, team situation with a little bit of a niggle, and we look at that niggle and say, oh, it'll pass. Or let's just see where this goes, or it's just a temporary thing. It's just a little bit of a grumble at the moment. It's okay. I'm sure it'll work out. Okay, all those types of processes where we see the negativity, hopefully we see the negativity, and we don't deal with it there and then when it's a little pig. We let it just grow and grow, and once it's the wild hog, there's nothing that can be done about it. It's gone. This week, we are tuning into little baby pigs, okay? We are searching everywhere in our lives for where there is negativity that, if left unchecked, can cause huge problems, okay? So that's one aspect. Wilhelm also talks, and there's an interpretation around this, that this is the affair hexagram, okay? And what it talks about is the story of a prince or a king or whatever, someone in power who has an affair with a young lady and thinks this is a simple little dalliance, okay, this won't hurt me, but she wants to be queen, and she's got her claws in him, okay, it's a very stereotypical type of picture that's created here. We just take it as a learning lesson, and so he has bitten off more than he can chew because he doesn't understand where this might lead. It's not a simple little dalliance, it's something quite significant. And so we work with this hexagram in understanding a very simple phrase, okay? This is our strategy for this week, working with this hexagram. Nip it in the bud, okay? I would encourage you to write that on a piece of paper, stick it up on your computer, on your desk, or your fridge, somewhere you're going to see it. This week, our phrase that pays is nip it in the bud. Wherever you see things where there's a negative, there's a grumble in your team, there's someone who's moaning, there's a problem that has arisen, is nip it in the bud, because baby pigs become wild hogs. And so that's Wilhelm. Quick dip into the Kasha land. His framing talks about an unusual encounter coming, something unusual and unexpected or out of the norm coming into our lives. A connection, an alliance, a person, an energy, an opportunity coming in. And you look at this opportunity and you think, wow, this could be the thing that, saves the day. This could be, the one. This could be the project that solves all our problems. and it's not set to last. You don't marry this one. Okay, this is not marriage material. Okay, so there's a commonality to both sides there, but he frames it more as an interesting encounter that shakes up the energy. Enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, maybe this is the affair, right? Enjoy the little fling while it lasts, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Adults can do what adults want to do, but enjoy it while it lasts, but it's not set to last. Okay, this is just an experience. This is just a bloop in the energy. Okay, something that's come up that is not going to take you forward in your plan, right? And the mistake is thinking that it will. No. 2 views on the hexagram. Now we have one changing line this week in the 4th position. Okay, this changing line, if you read the texts, it says, no fish in the tank. Okay, pursuing this is a misfortune. All right, so it talks about a situation where in the tank, all right, in our proverbial tanks, there are no fish to catch. All right, so there's a situation that's barren of opportunity. And while we stay in the energy of hoping and praying or trying to make the fish appear, there's nothing in the tank. It's empty, barren. It's a barren womb. Now, on this line, there are also slightly different views on what this means. If you look at the Stephen Karsha version, he says, no fish in the tank. Dwelling on this is a misfortune. Just accept it and move on. So it's going to be a situation where you thought there was opportunity. You thought something was going to happen. You thought it was going to be, the good deal, the good hunting grounds here, right? You were going to catch the fish. You were going to bring it home, but it's actually barren. And it's really about helping us this week to be mindful and conscious and aware of the situations around us where this applies. It might be one little thing. It might be multiple things for you this week. All we have to do is keep our radar open. Are there fish in the tank? All right. Is there something living? Is the creature here? All right. Is there life in the shell? All right. There is living things that are here to create opportunity for us. Okay. Are there opportunities in the shell? Right. The other view is the Richard Velham view, traditional view, that there are no fish in the tank because we have become disconnected with the people. Okay. Line 4, all right, represents kind of managers, all right, lower managers, right? And line 1 represents the people, the staff, okay? And this line says there's no fish in the tank because we have lost touch with what's happening on the ground, okay? The people that we are working for and with. And perhaps we've gone into the ivory tower too much and we've lost sight of what's really happening, all right? And so because we have done that, there's no fish in the tank. There's a disconnect, all right? There's an isolation and a kind of a barrier between managers and people. Okay, let's see how this works for you. So work with the idea. Are there no fish in the tank because it's a barren situation? Or has the situation arisen because the process of connection with people who actually deliver the goods, the people that work right, has been broken? So work with it in saying, where am I feeling disconnected, and work to rebuild that connection. I think that's a great way of working with this line. Being connected with a variety of people, whether you are in a manager position, this literally represents the people that you lead and serve, okay? Find a way to be clear with yourself. Are we bonded and connected? Do we really know what's going on, all right? Because if we do, and there's flow, they will work for us and they'll do things for us when we need it. When the business is needing to do something, when in the family this might be the case as well, when we're needing to get something done, if there's a resonance and a connection, all right, we can work together to get things done. And then there are fish in the tank. But if there's a disconnect, all right, we can't do what we need to do when we need the support. So work with both. What is missing, what is barren, and what has become that way or risks becoming that way because there's a disconnect between the different levels of the situation. Okay. All right, let's work with our second hexagram. Only one changing line, but that doesn't mean we have a second hexagram. It's a relating hexagram, outcome hexagram. I like calling it the victory hexagram. Where can we move through this energy of coming to meet? Okay, nipping it in the bud. We move through into hexagram 57, the gentle. This is a doubling of the windward trigram. So windward at the top, windward on the bottom. Think about a gentle breeze. I'm not talking about a tornado, right? I'm talking about the effect that a wind has. Blows the clouds together, clears the air, right? It gathers around, it moves around, it gently moves things forward. Think of how a plant grows. Okay, that's also the symbol of this, the gentle movement of a plant through the ground into the sky. So this energy is all about gathering and marshalling and supporting and nurturing and moving things forward. Okay, it's a nice big set of arms going around the whole situation and pulling everything together and holding everything together, looking after the situation and moving things forward, dispelling the issues by moving things forward, big arms hugging the situation. Okay, now think about the idea of the role of a sheepdog. Okay, with a whole bunch of sheep, we've got to get them from here to here, and we've got to do all these things, all right, and we're going to be relentless. We're moving all the time, like the wind, and we're shepherding everything together, and we're moving all those sheep, okay, and we're getting them into the pen. There isn't violence. Okay, maybe there's a nip or two every now and then when one sheep is really wanting to bolt, but there's this kind of process of just gently moving everything from one to the other, and it's quite amazing when you see those kind of drone videos of sheepdogs working. Okay, it's like quite an amazing thing. So that's what we're doing. We are literally, and I've said this before, working with moving sand dunes. Same idea if you're looking at those drone kind of time-lapse pictures of sand dunes. You see them shimmy across the desert, right? And what's happening is the wind is moving every grain of sand, right? Grain of sand at a time, right? And that creates the shimmy. Okay, so that is what we are working with. It's a path to victory this week. It's an energy we can reach into and work with. That we are not creating movement and progress by explosions. Okay, this is not that kind of week. We are gently coaxing. We are sheep dogging these sheep, okay, and we're moving everything forward, all right. We are putting our big arms around the sheep, around the sand dune, and we are moving everything forward. That is the energy we bring. It's not violent, it's not aggressive, it's persevering, unrelenting. Sand, 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 sheep, sheep, sheep. Okay, never giving up, never stopping, but gently getting somewhere by shepherding everything forward to where it needs to get to. It's a lovely energy for us to work with as we nip it in the bud, okay, as we focus on tackling the negative issues. Don't leave them. Don't ignore them. Don't think that they're going to solve themselves. They just compound. And something this week is requiring our attention to nip it in the bud and recognize where there are no fish in the tank, where we need to move on because there's nothing to be done in a particular situation. Good luck for the week. Thank you so much. If you liked and enjoyed this episode, a little thumbs up, a like would be great. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell to get the episodes into your app. And of course, same with the podcast, hit the follow button. And I look forward to seeing you again at our next weekly overview. Until then, take care.